Hey guys, it's Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the video. Today we are checking out the Rlaarlo XTS F10. This is Rlaarlo's rally car. Now, as you can see, we've already got it unboxed. Now, the reason we've got it unboxed is when it arrived, I was really curious to see how this was going to look. I'm more familiar with Rlaarlo's 1/12, 1/14 scale, their smaller stuff. So I was genuinely curious to see how a true 1/10 scale car was going to look. Now, kind of a spoiler alert here, they did not disappoint. We're going to go over the car, guys. Obviously, we're going to get it out and even run in this video. But again, when I first got this car, I just wanted to see how it was going to look. I got the stickers out. I did my own sort of delivery. I did a little bit different than the way Rlaarlo had it. But what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to go over some of the box art just because this car does come in 3 different versions. And I think the easiest way to kind of explain the 3 different versions and which one you would want is just by actually guys using the box. Now, the one thing that's really nice that Rlaarlo does, and I've seen this now on a few of their buggies, their trucks as well, is they do both a roller version and an RTR version. And in the case of the XTS F10, you have a roller version and 2 different RTR versions. Now, that's what I want to cover, guys, quickly here. So the roller version, guys, self-explanatory. Doesn't come with electronics, comes with a clear body. So if you've got electronics kicking around, you can just throw in what you have and get this thing up and running. Save yourself a little bit of money. If you need the electronics and you're going to the RTR version, there are 2 different versions. And it's more than just the carbon fiber and the metal. So you have a carbon fiber version and a metal version. But in my opinion, guys, it's the electronics that is actually the bigger deal. So with the carbon fiber version, you get a 3650 3300 kV motor with a 60 amp speed control. With the metal version, you get a 2852 3800 kV motor with a 45 amp speed control. So the 3650 3300 is kind of more common size for a 1/10 scale. If you think of something like the Castle motors, for example, the 30, I think it's a 3200 and the 3800 kV, they are 3652 in size. Now, like I mentioned, guys, this is the metal version, so I'm going to be running the 2852 3800 kV on 3S, which is kind of nice. So they didn't kind of change things where it's like a 2S version and a 3S version. It's none of that stupid stuff. Both cars will run a 3S. It'll run the included 3S 2200 milliamp pack. I don't know anything, guys, yet about the gearing and how it's going to be. I have powered up my car. You can see kind of the nose over here. And I kind of had just sort of driven it, actually, guys, around on the bench. I'm always curious of cogging and what it's going to be like. And I can say this, guys, there's none. Even with a 3800 kV motor, I was just putting it around, guys, on the mat, and there was nothing. It felt good. I put it down on the floor. Steering felt great. All that stuff was good. So again, guys, I wanted to quickly cover this because I think when you're looking at this car, some people may prefer an aluminum chassis. Some people may prefer the carbon fiber, but you do need to know that if you're getting the RTR version, that you are also getting different electronics. Again, 3300 kV, 60 amp speed control in the carbon fiber version, and a 3800 kV, 45 amp speed control in the aluminum version. Now, guys, moving on to the car, this is one good looking rig. What I really like about it is they've added a lot of little scale bits to it. So you've got a few little plastic parts around the car. You've got, you know, kind of your molded front grille here and stuff like that. The light buckets themselves, guys, we're going to power up the car obviously later in the video while it's on the bench. And I'll show you guys the headlights because all these work. So your low beams, your high beams, your turn signals, same thing in the back, your tail lights. And what I also really like, and they did this, guys, on the high-speed car that I have as well, they've got a little LED in the exhaust. So if you watch some of the YouTubers that do, you know, kind of all the Lamborghini videos and stuff like that, they all have like these, you know, Gintani flame tunes on them so that when they let off the throttle, they get flames out of the back. So they put like a little LED in here so that when you let off the trigger, you get that, which I think is definitely, guys, just very cool. Because I think where something like this is going to be a lot of fun is if you've got, you know, let's say a group of people, 5 to 10, you know, your kids, whoever, your buddies, what I think will be neat is, you know, if you get, let's say 5 or 10 of these together in a parking lot and you have kind of your own little sort of racing league, which I think when it comes to something like a rally car is a fun thing to do because I was part of kind of an on-road sort of thing for a while here a long, long time ago. And the one problem with the on-road cars was they're a lot lower. They scrape nonstop. If the parking lot is not perfectly prepped, they get horrible traction, where something like this is going to be a little bit more versatile. You're not going to be as worried, you know, ripping along and hitting all the stones and damaging your body. Now, obviously, guys, it's still somewhat of a car. It's not necessarily a touring car, but it's not like, you know, like a truck where the body's sitting way up here. But you can see, guys, that when you start getting on this car, you're mashing on the throttle, you got a pretty good, you know, amount of space between here. So you shouldn't be kind of ripping your body apart. And one thing I did notice, and I'm going to kind of just sort of get ahead of myself here, the tires do feel really good. Overall, guys, my first impressions of the car is they've nailed it. And the one thing that's nice about the metal version over the carbon fiber version, even though I'm not gonna lie, guys, I would have preferred the bigger electronics, having that 3200 kV motor, but with the metal version, you get slightly different kind of body color. So on this one, guys, you've got the white, where when it comes to the carbon fiber version, it's more dark. I kind of prefer this. I'm guessing we know where this is going, but due to, you know, copyrights and all that kind of stuff, we're not gonna go there. But overall, guys, I do really like the way everything looks on this body. I like the way the lights look. I like the way the wheels and tires look. I like the colors. And again, guys, Rlaarlo sort of gives you like a little piece of paper showing you where they want you to put the stickers on and all that kind of stuff. I sort of changed things up just a little bit. I threw my Cow RC sticker on there as well, because obviously, guys, they're a big part of the channel. But what we're going to do now is we are going to get that body up. Now, to do that, though, I don't want to say it's tricky, but underneath, you have these guys right here. And what you got to do is you got to kind of flick them this way. That unlocks the sides. And then under here, I'm going to bring you guys in first just to see. You'll see right there in the middle, you have a little flicker that you got to flick. So you put your fingers underneath, you can flick that up, and then boom. Now, the one thing that's nice, guys, about the body and the way it kind of hinges up is if you were going to do, let's say, a lot of work on the car, you know, maybe if you bought, for example, the roller version, they did include a connector right here. So you've got your JST connector. You can just unplug this, and there's 2 screws that you can undo, and then the body comes completely off. Now, while we have it up like that, and I'm actually holding on to the camera, you can see everything that's going on underneath the body for the lights and all the LEDs and all that stuff. They did include these kind of little sort of 2-sided tape wire kind of connector thingamabobbers. Some of them were kind of loose and were kind of hanging when I first got the car. Now, obviously, guys, these are being transported. They're going through different conditions, different temperature conditions. So I actually, guys, just kind of pushed them back in, held them for a few seconds, and they've been good ever since. So again, if you do want to remove the body, you've got your connector right there, unplug it, 2 screws, and you're good to go. Now, I went ahead and removed the body just so that we could get a better look at the car. And my initial thought, guys, when I was unboxing this and I had the car on the bench was, this definitely has a much more premium feel to it. Rlaarlo is typically a more budget-friendly brand. They're a little bit easier to get into. They're a little bit less money. But this car has been very well designed, very nicely laid out. And the amount of metal aluminum that they have is definitely impressive. The fact that you have your metal motor mount, metal heatsink on the fan. By the way, I think I've already mentioned you have fan on both the ESC and the motor. You have aluminum shock bodies, aluminum shock caps, aluminum hinge pin retainers. Those are all parts that you want to have on a car. So it's always nice when you get them right out of the box. Now, you do have an 11 kilogram servo. We've already gone over the ESC motor. Again, I have the 3800 kV with the 45 amp speed control. You got your button up here, obviously for on and off and for programming. You have front and rear sway bars included right out of the box. And the one thing that kind of I thought was a little bit odd in the beginning, but the more I think about it, I kind of understand, is you have your receiver box right here. This is the one that's being utilized right now. But then you've got this rear one. And when I first kind of saw this, I thought this is kind of odd. Why have a second receiver box? However, the more I thought about it, looking at the layout, you could, at some point, if you were changing up the motor or you even wanted to go to a longer can motor, whatever, you could probably alter this receiver box. You could get rid of the cap, kind of trim it down a little bit, and allow yourself a longer can motor, and then just use this one for your actual receiver. Just run like a little extension, or actually you probably won't even have to, it's pretty small, and be able to have a second receiver box. I don't know what the other purpose would be if you kept this, you know, you kept using this receiver box, you keep this size of motor in here. There is, I'm just looking right now, I'm going to show you guys. you can see you've got a little gap in there. So I don't know, again, you may want to kind of trim this down depending on the style of motor you were going with, but for your RTR motors, obviously they're going to be good. You have that second receiver box if you need it. One thing I have already mentioned, but I'm going to bring you guys back to is it does include a 3S 2200 milliamp battery with XT60s. I am always so happy when a brand includes something like an XT60, XT90 if it's on a bigger rig, because there's a really good chance, one, it's a lot easier to buy batteries. Also, if you already have batteries, there's a good chance you're already going to have this connector on it. Now, what I'm going to do at this point, guys, is I'm going to actually get the body back on. I'm going to plug the car in, and we're going to power it up. And I'm just going to show you guys the headlights, the low beams, the high beams, the signal lights, the exhaust, all that stuff on the bench. The other thing, though, I'm also going to do, because I know not everybody understands what a gyro is. And I haven't even mentioned that yet, guys. The receiver in this car has a built-in gyro. You can adjust the gyro on the transmitter. So I'm going to get the car kind of sitting on a bit of a stand just so that we can see the gyro working as well. Now, to demo the gyro, guys, I'm going to leave the body off just because it'll be a little bit easier to see the tires. So we're going to power up the car. Now, on the transmitter, and I'm pretty sure, guys, this is a Dumbo RC transmitter that Rlaarlo is using. So it's good, I think, for something like 350 meters of range. So if you can see this thing at 350 meters, you got pretty good eyesight. This right here is the knob, guys, for the gyro. So this is how you adjust how much input you want that gyro to have on your driving. So you got your steering. Now, right now, I am going to turn it right down. So you can see as we twist the car, nothing's going on. You can see the front tires, nothing's happening there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it up, I would say maybe, guys, to about 50%. So again, we just cranked up this knob a bit. Now you're going to see how the tires are reacting. So basically they kind of counter steer. So if the car was kind of going this way, obviously you want your tires to come this way to kind of keep you going straight. Same thing where if you're zooming along and you kind of kick out this way, you mash it, you spin a little bit, you can see how the tires will counter steer the kind of the opposite direction. And that's what keeps you going straight. Now, I am someone that likes maybe about 15, 20%, 25% gyro. It's just enough to help out. It's enough that if you're kind of ripping through a corner and you break loose a little bit, it will just kind of help counter steer a little bit and keep you going straight. It honestly, guys, was something that I never had any use for at all. I could care less cars that had AVC or TSM or anything like that. And it's not until I started running the Radio Link setups, which, by the way, is the parent company for Dumbo RC, that I really started liking and enjoying using some type of stability control. All right, guys, the next thing I want to do is show you the LEDs. So we're going to start off with the turn signals. They just automatically come on when you turn the wheel on the transmitter. And then on the top of the transmitter, if you use the channel 4 button and you just give that a little push, you'll end up getting the headlights. Push it again, you get the high beams, and then again you have your signal lights right there. And here's just a shot from the back of the car. You got your tail lights, high beams come on there. Nothing really happens in the back of the car. Wasn't sure if they got bright or anything like that. But yeah, guys, definitely cool that right out of the box, you've got the low beams, you got the high beams, you got the brake lights, you got the turn signals. And I just realized last, but definitely not least, it is something that I always think is pretty cool. Again, if we give it throttle and let off, you can see the flame tune right there. All right, now that we've covered all that, guys, let's go out and give this thing a quick little rip. All right, guys, so we're up the top of my street. You've got the XTS all ready to go. And this is going to be the first kind of run. Again, I kind of drove it a little bit there at in my hobby room just to have a little feel for it. You can see the steering is nice and sharp. Very smooth. Feels like there's a bit of a drag brake going on there. Obviously, guys, not full throttle. Just want to get a feel for it, get a feel for the steering. I think I need to adjust my trims just a little bit. All right, guys, I think we've got our trims good. Let's see how this thing runs. Now, again, we're running about 20% gyro. Maybe not even. Okay, grip's pretty good. Again guys, 3S 3800 kV. Oops. All right, guys, so could be a little faster, but the steering is fantastic. And that, guys, was kind of like full throttle, hand kind of loosely on the wheel there. So you can see how the gyro's definitely aiding and keeping this thing straight. And again, that's maybe, guys, like just like a quarter turn, not even. Full pin there. Yeah, she rips. I don't see myself ever going down into a 2S. The 3S is quick, but yeah, I think, guys, it would have been nice to run the 3200 because you would have been able to do a little bit more with the pinion and stuff like that. This, though, however, guys, is very driver friendly. So if somebody was getting into RC, you know, you could, with the gyro, you can pretty much drive this thing fully pinned like I just did right there, and it just keeps going. Yeah. I think going on the grass is probably useless, but again, this is four-wheel drive. Okay, that was fun. Coming in hot. Oh no! We're gonna get that. Let off a little bit there. Let's try full pin, see how we do. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna try this again. We're gonna up the gyro. I think we got a rock stuck in the steering. Bummer. All right, guys, so it was just a rock stuck in the steering. I picked the car up for a little bit and just kind of jiggled the steering and we're good to go. Now, what I was saying earlier was I'm gonna up the gyro just a little bit and we're gonna try this again and see how it does. Full pin. Oh, jeez. All right, here we go. Coming in hot, full pin, guys. Whoa, jeez. Well, try that again, because we clearly hit something. Oh, I love seeing that little flame coming from the exhaust. All right, guys, that was full pin coming in there, and you can see you can keep it under control. I have no idea where we are. Oh, there we are. Ooh, that was slick. All right, guys, I was just in the GoPro there. So guys, again, very smooth for a 3800. Steering is spot on. That's the stock steering servo. We definitely got a lot of rocks going on there right now. But yeah, the steering, guys, is super smooth, very sharp, controllable. Loving the signal lights. You can see just as I kind of put it around, very smooth. And easy to drive. So this would be a lot of fun, especially if you got like you know, guys, some youngsters that want to just get into something, you know, even kind of coming out where I am right now and being able to practice driving, have a little tiny league, you know, with your kids and stuff like that. Because even with the included 3S, guys, it's super manageable. And like I said, I don't see myself going to a 2S at any time. All right, guys, we've got the car home. It is on the washing machine on a towel. The reason it's sitting on the washing machine on a towel is because it's really cold out. And when I got home, I just wanted to get the car back inside. So what I'm gonna quickly do, well, there's two things right now that we're gonna kind of end the video on. One is we're gonna go over my cleaning routine that I do with a lot of my cars, especially at this time of the year when it starts to get cold out. And the idea of, you know, doing your spray, scrubbing everything down outside, rinsing everything off is just not something you wanna do. And two, and this is a big thing, I want to cover what happened at the end of the video, because you kind of noticed that I just stopped running, and we're going to cover that also. So first, cleaning the car. So like I said, at this time of the year, guys, it is cold. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time outside, and you just don't really want to start putting water on something when it's getting to be 3 degrees, 4 degrees Celsius. So when I came home, I do the same thing all the time. The only thing that's nice when you're doing it with something smaller like a 110 scale, you can kind of do it just sort of over a garbage can, whatever you want to do. So car came home. I use the red brush. That's just your normal brush, guys, you know, brush and kind of dustpan that you get from Canadian Tire. And I hold this over a garbage can and I just sweep and sweep, because there was a lot of dirt, a lot of packed dirt back in here. And this thing, guys, was just covered in little pebbles. What you kind of see here on the towel was just everywhere. So I use the red brush, go over everything. That gets about 80% of the dirt gone. Then I break out the other two brushes. So these guys are both from CowRC, and that's kind of where I start to scrub the dirt that's still on there, get it all off. Once I'm done there, I will then usually kind of pick it up once again, hold it over a garbage can, use the red brush, get whatever I've kind of, you know, brushed off and loosened up. At that point, I break out the CowRC hide wipes. Now, what's nice about these guys, and I've said this every time I use them, I only ever go through one wipe. So it's not like you're going to go through 5 or 6 of these wipes kind of thing, and your container's only going to last a few weeks. That's not the case. So I use the wipe, I use the kind of rougher side, wipe everything down. That gets everything clean. Then I'll use this guy. This is the Jet Blaster Mini. I use this little tool, guys, all the time. It just charges via USB-C. I have the brush attachment on it. So what's nice is when you start cleaning now with it, put it on. What's nice is that the brush attachment, anything that's kind of left, anything that's still kind of on, obviously guys, the brush will kind of scrub it off, but then you've got the air to kind of blow it away. And it's not like it's crazy air. It's not, obviously guys, like the Jet Blaster Turbo, which is, you know, blows everything to kingdom come, which is great outside. And if you're really trying to move a lot of water, it's the way to go. This is just nice for indoors because you're going to find, yeah, it's going to blow some things around, but even this piece of paper, guys, is still sitting here. I was using that for my pinion, kind of gives away what I'm going to talk about next, but you don't end up kind of making too big of a mess. So I'm going to leave links, guys, to this in the description. This is one of those tools, I consider it a tool that is right up there with my drill that I use all the time, because anytime I'm doing anything, if I was, you know, working on the bell cranks or something like that, I was going to change them. This is what I kind of use to clean because it gets rid of everything. And then when I'm all said and done, I usually will grab the wipe, flip it over, because the other side of the wipe, guys, is a softer, it's more gentle, it's not as rough, and I'll kind of just wipe everything down. I'll use it to get into like little cracks like in here, for example, and just kind of clean in there. Then I can still use the wipe, and I'll take it to the body and I'll wipe down the body just to clean it up to make it all nice and shiny. So again, there'll be links to both this and the hide wipes in the description. The brushes you'll see on the website as well. Now, what I want to get into is what happened at the end of the video. And I could have done this a couple of ways. I could have just came home, figured out the problem, and not said anything. But that's not how we do it here, guys. If there's an issue, we're going to address it. However, this is, even though it's a little bit of an issue, it actually kind of shows you the strength of this car, and it shows you the strength of the materials that they've used for the car. Now, I've zoomed into the pinion and spur for a reason. So when the car stopped working, I got home and I was like, man, did I burn out the motor? Did I burn out the ESC? I still had steering, but you know, between the steering part and then the actual motor in the ESC, there could have been something that, you know, burnt out type thing, caps, I don't know. So I got home, let it sit for a while, tried a different battery, same thing. You heard this very, kind of like a little ticking noise, but you didn't see any movement on the pinion or anything like that. So again, I thought I burnt out the motor. First thing I did was pulled the cover off, and when I put my finger on the pinion didn't move. So I was like, oh man, I've just seized up the motor. But then I was like, well, I checked it quite a bit. I had checked it, guys, twice while I was running, because I checked it during, and then when it stopped running, I had checked it. I backed off the motor screws. So I loosened the 2 bolts, shifted the motor out, plugged in a battery, gave it a tap, zoom, motor spun. So I was like, whoa, okay. The motor's good, the ESC is good, all the electronics are good. Now I'm thinking it's got to be something to do with the spur, and because there were so many of these little guys, I'm going to kind of see if I can bring these up to the camera, these type of little pebbles everywhere in the car, like just everywhere, guys. It was crazy how dirty it was. And that was after, when I was up there, when I was done running, I did hold this thing upside down, kind of hammered on the chassis a little bit to get all the dirt off. There was still just tons of it. And somehow a little stone had gotten kind of wedged under the spur, and just simple kind of, you know, back and forth did not get rid of it. Even to the point of trying to spin the motor, wouldn't get rid of it. It was just lodged in there so good. Now here's where it gets kind of cool. I've had a lot of experience with a lot of pinions, a lot of spurs, a lot of different material. And I did something that you should not do. I took a flathead screwdriver and I just came up to the spur, and I literally, guys, just kind of went tunk, like, which one part of me was like, oh my God, why am I doing this? I'm going to end up chipping probably one of the teeth off. And I didn't. I broke free the rock. Everything then was spinning no problem. I meshed everything back. And after doing that, this thing is back to running solid once again. And what I'm going to do now, guys, is I am going to plug in a battery. I'm going to power it up just so that you can hear it run. All right, guys, there you have it. So you can clearly hear that it still sounds great. It doesn't sound like the teeth are mushed up a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of, you know, kind of, I was gonna say markings on the pinion and spur. Obviously, guys, there were stones everywhere. but it still sounds super smooth. I had the tires on a little while ago before I started cleaning them, and I was kind of just taking it across my floor. Everything still feels perfect. So the reason I'm emphasizing that so much, because it's obviously, guys, somewhat kind of minor, is that it does show that Rlaarlo has not skipped out on those materials. I have had other companies' cars where the pinions and spurs just get destroyed. And the fact that this took running the car, running with the amount of stones and debris that was constantly getting thrown around the car, enough that it actually jammed it up, and then taking a flathead screwdriver and going, and I'm not bragging about that, guys. I do not recommend doing it. The smart thing to do is just take this thing apart, lifted that center differential out, boom, stone would have been gone. But I was lazy. So yeah, I'm just gonna give, guys, super props to Rlaarlo for using quality steel, because to me, if you buy this car, you may want to upgrade the system, or you're just going to be hard on it like I am, where you're driving around full throttle all the time. And you know what? This car is going to take it. All right, guys, there you have it. The new rally car from Rlaarlo. I know we sort of kind of, I guess we were still kind of on topic, but sort of went there a little bit weird with the pinion and the spur and all that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, guys, that's important. There's giants in the RC industry that still can't get their metal right in their pinions. They're still pairing up 3S, 4S cars to plastic spurs. So the fact that this thing is an all metal drivetrain, 3 sealed differentials, metal pinion, metal spur, all the good stuff, to me that says a lot about a brand, and it shows us where they are going and what they're going to be doing in the future. So definitely check out the links in the description. You will see a link for the non-RTR version, so the roller version. You will see a link to this one, which is the metal version, as well as the carbon fiber version. You'll be able to check out all the pricing at the time. I do know that there is going to be there's a bit of a special kind of promotion right now if you get the car within the first, I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but they have knocked quite a bit of money off if you get it in the next little bit. But guys, that's it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, please subscribe, and have a fantastic day.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.